Hey, my kiddos. Hope you guys are doing well. It's a Monday morning for me, so I'm just about to go to work, but before I did, I wanted to jump in and kind of finish up this quick series here on how to engage life. I think this is the fourth in the series, and of course the first one we dealt with the importance of suspending your judgment, and the second was the importance of suspending your expectations, and then the third was we talked about some of the advantages to approaching life in this way. But in this one, I thought it would be like really honest to just try to look at the other side of the coin and try to provide for you guys the pitfalls and the potholes to engaging life this way. It has a lot of advantages that I described in the earlier one, but there are some pitfalls that you will fall into, and that's normal. And so there are three of them, and I wanted to share those with you this morning. The first one is, if you decide to live life in this way, suspending your judgments about things that are good or bad, suspending your expectations about good and bad, just letting life happen as it does, not feeling like you have to provide an interpretation, opinion, conclusion, analysis, or affirmation or denial of something. When you approach life in that way, essentially what you're doing, the first pitfall is the chips are going to fall where they may, right? That's just the fact of the matter. Because you're approaching life in this way, the chips are going to fall where they may. And so the first pitfall of living this way is that because the chips are going to fall where they may, it's going to induce in you a certain amount of anxiety, a cluster of emotions are going to happen, right? So you're going to encounter a particular event. Maybe it's a breakup. God forbid it's a divorce. Your house catches on fire. Your car breaks down. You get fired from your job. One of your kids ends up, behaving like y'all have. Any number of events. And if you approach life in this way of suspending your judgments and suspending your expectations, the chips are going to fall where they are, and any one of those events are going to produce a cluster of emotions in you. And that's normal, right? Shit hurts when it happens. That's never been about what this series is about avoiding bad shit, because it is going to happen to you. Bad, right? You see how that mindset, is just kind of ingrained in us. I don't know, we can even go back and debate, whether or not, if you're withholding your judgment on whether a thing is good or bad, then a car breaking down is not necessarily bad. It's inconvenient. It's costly. But that doesn't mean that thing is bad, right? It's a car. It broke down. And that's just the way things work, right? They work and then they don't work. So it's not really good or bad. So I even have to, even now as I'm talking to you, trying to impart this wisdom, I am having to constantly correct myself, because I want to continue to approaching life this way. But it does produce a cluster of emotions. And it does produce some anxiety, because you do want answers. You want interpretations that lead you to something better, right? That lead you to a place where your car doesn't break down. And those kind of things are very practical. There are things you can do. If you don't change the oil in your car, it's going to break down. It's not good or bad. You just didn't do it, and things you can learn from it are to take care of your car better. But the bigger point here, the first pitfall in living this way, is that you're going to experience a cluster of emotions. And so even then, these emotions that come, suspend your judgment on them. They're not good or bad. They are. They just are. Let those emotions simply be as they are. Don't try to fix yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. Don't try to guilt yourself like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Don't try to shame yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. So the first pitfall is you will experience a cluster of emotions, and in response, continue to engage even those emotions in that way. The second pitfall is that your mind is going to jolt in seizures of confusion because, like any other human being, you, me, everyone else, we've all been raised with a particular set of beliefs, right? Beliefs are the groupings of information that we hold on to tightly, that we assume every day when we wake up. And those things inform how we look at the world. Your beliefs are like a pair of glasses. You look at the world, or contacts for some of you, except for maybe you, Harrison, because you've got like 20/10 vision, but it's awesome. But your beliefs are like a pair of glasses. You're going to look at the world through them. That's just how we all are. We all have those beliefs. So the second pitfall then is when an event or a person or a thing, something happens in your life, and it seems to, and it's going to ram up against your belief set. You're going to feel tempted. You're going to feel a jolt or seizure of anxiety because this event isn't matching my belief set. This thing that's happened does not match what I believe about the world. And the problem with that is that your belief sets function like a filter for everything you see, everything you observe, everything that happens to us, but that doesn't mean they're right. That doesn't mean they're correct. Allow your belief sets to be reshaped and reformed and revised. So while that's the second pitfall of living and engaging life in this way, a jolt and a seizure of confusion about how to interpret things, remember, return to engaging life in this way and don't be pressed to feel like you have to form a conclusion or an interpretation or an opinion at all. Some things don't need it, they just happen. So when you feel that confusion, and you're like, oh, this thing happens and it doesn't match my belief set, then don't let that confusion rule you. I felt this way much of the time when I was raising you guys. Mom and I would do what we thought was best. We had a belief set, a very, very religious belief set informing us at the time. I think some of those things were legit, right? A lot of things in religion that you can find that can be found in many other religions, and collectively they all form kind of a universal truth, a universal wisdom that's just smart way to do life. But there's a lot of other trappings in religion, and we had a lot of those. And so that religion formed a belief set for us about how you guys ought to behave and how we ought, what our family ought to look like. And when you guys would do things, and you would behave in certain ways, then it would contradict my belief set and your mom's belief set. And it produced a lot of confusion, a lot of jolts and seizures of confusion for me. And so I didn't know about this way to engage life before, so I would react, right, to you guys, get angry and frustrated and probably yell a good bit and definitely cuss and misbehave. And sorry about that, lots of big, huge trucks driving down the road by the apartment here. But at that moment, and I'm sure you guys have those memories in your mind of how, my F-ups and trying to be a parent. I bring those up now because I want them to serve as an example to you that I behaved that way, and your mom behaved the way that she did sometimes because how you guys were behaving was contradicting our belief set, and it created a jolt and a seizure of confusion. We didn't know how to engage life in this way that we do now. If we had to raise you again, it would be very different. And when you guys have kids, and by the time you watch this, you may already have kids, we would parent you very different. And this is how we would parent you. We would teach you these principles that I'm teaching you now on how to engage life. Hope that's helpful. The third pitfall, the third pothole that you will fall into if you engage life this way, is that your body will bolt into anxiety because you will feel like you have to jump to some sort of action to change the course of events or to change the outcome. That's a big one. When you decide to suspend judgment, suspend expectations, let the chips fall where they are, let life happen as it does, not jump in with opinions, conclusions, analyses, interpretations, etc., then your body is going to feel at certain points like, I've got to jump in and stop this. I've got to jump in and change things. I've got to jump in and fix things. I'm not saying that those are not reasonable solutions. I'm simply saying that when you live life this way, you will experience some things that will make you feel that way. But if you pause a little longer, according to this approach to life, then you will, the longer you keep your finger on the pause button, the more you will be able to zoom out and be able to observe more of what's going on. And when you observe more of what's going on, you get more information. There's the key part. You get more information, which helps you obtain more facts, more perspective. You get to see more angles, right? Remember the old story about the blind men trying to describe an elephant, right? You know, one's touching the tail, one's touching the side, one's touching the trunk, one's touching the ear, etc. And they all have their interpretations and analyses, and they all think they're right. But they're all right. They just don't know that collectively they're right. And if you keep your finger on the pause button longer when something happens, you'll be able to get more of those perspectives about the elephant, if you will, the event, the thing that happened. And suspending that judgment allows for, so the longer your finger's on the pause button, the farther out you can zoom, as I'm just saying. So at some point, though, right, you will have had enough information, and only you can make that determination, right? And when you do, it's time to take action, right? But the longer you keep your finger on the pause button, the longer you stop yourself from feeling like you got to jump into some kind of action and fix something, you will get more perspective. And most of all, because I'm trying to raise you guys to be children of compassion and children of unconditional love for other people, suspending that judgment longer and longer gives you more perspective, which helps you love other people, to understand where they're coming from, to develop empathy. And you develop more compassion for yourself as well, for the world in general. But when you've gained enough, then it's time to press the play button and do something. And the cool thing is, when you do press the play button and do something and fix something or change a course of events or stop something, you will have had enough information to make a much better decision about how you're going to act, how you're going to stop something, and how you're going to fix something. So that's a pitfall, but then there's also a way to respond to it as well, and which is essentially suspending judgment, suspending expectations, and then keeping your eyes on the advantages. So I think the advantages to this approach to life far outweigh the pitfalls and the potholes. I wish that I had learned this path early on. It's the wisest course I'm finding out in life right now at 50. And I would really, really love to see you guys be able to partake of this kind of wisdom and change the course of your own life, so that you don't have these aha moments as late as I did and maybe your mom did. So I hope this series was helpful. I hope some of these examples were helpful. I hope that this wisdom is going to be extremely helpful for you. And I really love you guys. And I'm counting down the days, just about a month left before I get on a plane and come home to see you guys. And then we can talk more about some of this stuff. But have an awesome week. I think, I don't know what the next episode is going to be. I've got a long list of things I want to talk about. So we'll probably get one more cranked out this week for you guys. But Have an awesome week. Love you, and do awesome things and be awesome at whatever you decide to do.